Today's episode is sponsored by Shop 96, Relive Through Retro. Please visit today's guest business Nenriki Therapy at nenrikitherapy.com, the home of healing.
Ladies and gentlemen, top of the new year. I'm just so glad to be back in everybody's presence, 2022. This is the Convo podcast live. I'm your host, D.Bail, and today I have a very special guest. This is my family member, Faith E. Smash. She is the founder and lead therapist at Nenriki Therapy, the home of healing, And we're going to talk about why you named it that. And we want to also talk about why the hashtag Muscle Whisperer is attached to your beautiful name and all the great things that you're doing out there for your clients and potential clients that will hear and see this broadcast. So welcome to the Convo and thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
It is
that was a great introduction. It's always weird hearing somebody talk about me. I'm like, oh, hey.
No, you make it very easy because the work that you're doing is so important for our community. You're helping with health and wellness on a mental, emotional, and physical spectrum. During these trying times, I can't stress how important it is for somebody with your talents to bless the world. So first and foremost, tell me about Nenriki Therapy and how you came up with the idea for the name and your passion behind massage therapy.
So the name is very interesting and it keeps literally it keeps evolving. So Nenriki means faith in Japanese, or so I thought.
Ooh.
So my parents wanted me to name my business after myself, and I'm like, yeah, I feel like that's a little too self-serving, a little narcissistic. So I'm like, all right, so how can I kind of give them what they want without making it so blatantly obvious that I'm just like putting myself out there, right? So it just happened to be my screen name. Like I would play around with my name over the years because you could translate my entire name in every language. So I just happened to have my screen name, which was Nenriki Jishitsu Sumasu. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's Faith Essence Smash in Japanese. So Nenriki Therapy just flowed better. And after a while, maybe a few years later, a friend of mine looked it up and they're like, it doesn't mean faith. And I'm like, what you mean it doesn't mean faith? So I looked it up and, different languages, words tend to have various definitions.
Right.
And when I looked, it also meant willpower and psychokinesis. So it actually blended a lot more with what Nenriki started to evolve into. Okay. So it's like every stage of Nenriki, Nenriki's growth, I learned something new about the name. So about 3 weekends ago, it was the first time I actually got to chat with someone who was Japanese, and they started to tell me about the word. So the word is actually, it's more of an ancient kind of term, something that they don't use anymore, but it's called, like, Nen is power and Riki is thought. So it's the power of thought.
Ooh.
Right? I was like,
that's deep.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's Nenriki. And Nenriki is constantly teaching me about herself. I just say Nenriki's my child. She's growing and I don't know who she is, but she keeps telling me.
Yeah. How did you get the passion of wanting to get into massage therapy? Was that a calling, do you think?
It's an absolute calling. I did not see this coming. I was in school for interior design and I was taking online classes. Something popped up about a booming industry. I didn't have the finances to continue with interior design. So I was like, all right, well, let me try this. I'm 24. I'm like, I want a career. So, and it's getting late in age. So let me try to see what can work. It took less money, took less time. But then halfway into the program, I just realized my hands were made for it. So it just kind of clicked. Again, it's one of those things that I don't know how I got here. I just listened and continue to listen and it works. So
that is amazing. That is amazing.
I say that to you and it's still shocking to me to even accept that as truth.
Yeah, but it is. And how long has Nenriki Therapy been in service to people?
Nenriki Therapy, the brand, has been in service for 7 years. Myself, I've been a massage therapist for 14 years.
Wow. Wow. And you just opened up a new location, or not so new location, in Newark, New Jersey. What was the expansion for you like? Because initially you started in North Valley. You still have both locations, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That was also a calling that I'm trying to figure out. You know, Newark has called me for maybe 5 or 6 years. And I just listened to that call and I, came here. So it's been good. The reception has been well. When I came to Newark, it was in 2019. This was maybe 6 months before the pandemic. So I'm just now starting to, or just at that time, no one knew me in Newark. So I was starting to build connections and relationships at that point. And then I just had to figure out how to pivot a little bit once the pandemic hit. And then we were able to secure a location this year in June. So
wow.
The pandemic makes it tough, but it's moving.
I'm sure. And your reputation really precedes you, because just looking up the ratings of Nenriki Therapy online, ladies and gentlemen, you will see all of the heartfelt reviews from Faith's clients, speaking on how her techniques have helped them wholeheartedly throughout, like, those 3 components: that emotional wellness, that physical wellness, and that mental wellness. What do your clients typically seek when they come to you? Let's start off with atmosphere first. Like, what is the atmosphere that it's created? Because I'm sure it's amazing.
It's warm. It's warm. It's a little bit unexpected. I use a lot of black, as you can see behind me. I just want you to feel like you are in the comfort of someone's home. Like you're at your family member's house, you're chilling, you're relaxed. You can kind of take a load off. What I found with a lot of other spas and massage clinics and such, it's very sterile. And I feel when you're in there, it's sterile, it's blingy, and when you come in, you don't feel like you can let loose. It almost gives an idea of perfection.
Right.
And life is not perfect. As humans, we're not perfect. We're flawed. We're emotional. We're dealing with traumas and all that kind of stuff. So, I want you to be able to come in and feel like, I can chill. I can relax. Like, you have that sense of calmness just by coming in.
Yeah.
Colors and textures and all of that makes a huge difference. So I put a lot of effort in that. And that comes from me innately and what I like. It also comes a little bit from my interior design background. So
yeah. And that's amazing how you were able to tie in some of your previous passions into even what you're doing now, because I've been to your location in North Valley, and it's definitely like a vibe. It's definitely a warm, inviting atmosphere. And the fact that you have made so many strides, you were even recognized in Bergen County for being an emerging business. What are the major differences between working in Bergen County and now moving to Essex County, or just the differences between the 2 locations?
Culture.
Okay, that's a good thing. It gives you a little bit more of a diversity, between just having, different locations. And you said that Newark has been very inviting thus far in terms of you just starting your entrepreneurship there.
Yeah, it has been. And there's a different energy here in Northville. Now, when I say culture and I do say diversity, you can't ignore the fact that in Bergen County, majority of my clients are not people of color. So it's very, very different, still effective, but still very different in the dynamics of the work, the dynamics of the connection. There's familiarity in Newark as well. Everyone receives the services for similar reasons, but we just can't detach from the connection from you dealing with someone who shares similarities with you, and that's culture, that's ethnicity, all of that.
Wow.
But I'm still tapping into Newark,
Yeah. It's definitely an exciting time for entrepreneurs, even talking about how the pandemic has created what we have called the Great Reset, where a lot of people are rediscovering new passions and opening businesses and things of that nature. Every entrepreneur that I have on the show, I always implore them to offer 1 pro and then 1 con to inspiring entrepreneurs such as yourself. So is there anything that you've learned on the good side and then maybe on the not so good side that you could share with people that might be inspired by your journey?
I don't really believe in negatives and positives, pros and cons.
Okay.
life ebbs and flows, and there's lessons in everything. So the things that the experiences that we may deem to be negative, there's always something to pull from that. So if I were to choose a con, it's challenging for the most part. You don't have a blueprint in front of you. You design your blueprint. Right. Even if there is a blueprint placed in front of you, you still are responsible for implementing that and making sure that it actually works. So It's stressful. It's a lot. But does that make it a con? No. It's just a new challenge, it's growth.
Right. And some people will look at it like that because they're just not used to working hard. It's just not something that is innate to them. But for myself, for yourself, it's
not used to, let's not even say hard. They're not used to working independently or exclusively where the responsibility is on you, solely on you.
True story. Very true. Very true.
There's a lot of hard workers out here, but it's a different type of work. It's a different type of energy, and you can't put it down. It's with you 24/7. When you sleep, it's running through your brain.
Right.
It's constant.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
You can't check out.
You can't check out, but the benefits that you reap from it, and not just the financial benefits, but just also the benefit of seeing the clients that you work with go through a growth process. How important is that for you? And then how does that make you feel when you see somebody just being in the best condition that they are, and that you had a hand in that, literally had a hand in it?
Yeah, it's amazing. You have people who come in and, they say, your traumas and your issues are in your tissues, as they say. So when you're working with someone, they don't realize how much their working world is interconnected with what their body is doing. So if your body isn't centered, body, mind, soul, spirit isn't centered, then, you're out in this world just kind of just floating in the sea,
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, just from a level of being a massage therapist, how does physical touch affect the mental and emotional state of somebody? Like, how important, especially with us kind of being apart, how important is it for people to be touched, literally?
It's so important. I literally had a conversation about this the other day, and I want to do more research so that I can better articulate it. But there have been studies about, with feral children or even feral animals who are just out in the world and they don't have like their pack with them, being separated from their pack. Or if we can just look at the elderly, as they get older and they're put in homes and they're isolated, their development starts to decrease. Their mental capacity starts to decrease. Their ability to remember. So you have dementia and Alzheimer's, it starts to set in. Physical touch is so important for our development. It's important for our nervous system, for our systems and our functions to work, and that's why we have these businesses. And you have, as taboo as it may be, but you have people who have cuddle businesses. So you literally pay for somebody to just cuddle with you or a hug, which is crazy because pre-pandemic, obviously, we have our family members and friends, but we're so like touch averse because people connect touch with sex.
Yeah.
And it really pulls us away from being able to get that nurturing that we need on a regular basis.
And that's unfortunate that people make that automatic connection, but like a hug could just literally just be a hug. There doesn't have to be any ulterior motive behind it or how people's brains are just wired to think that. But
yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's natural, right? When without being vulgar, but this is life. We're all adults, sex is a real thing. And we're constantly, it's constantly put before us. TV, music. So whenever we think about exactly. So when we're not really educated on how touch can actually just be consensual and platonic and healing and therapeutic, medicinal even. That conversation doesn't come up when we think about sex. When we think about touch, we think about sex. We think about intimacy, and intimacy in the frame of sex. So, I think that once we start to reframe that and understand, then we realize that, it can really be beneficial in so many ways.
Definitely. And even looking at some of the services, like talk a little bit about the prenatal services that you provide for women out there that are expecting. I mean, that must be an amazing experience. And I'm might be a little naive, but I've never saw that presented on a massage website. What does that entail for women out there that might be expecting?
It isn't that it's normal to me. It's just like a regular massage. You're just positioning them differently. Right. And I think that's what my clients who are with child, they actually really enjoy coming to me, because my first priority is to care for the woman, care for the person. Absolutely. So, pregnancy is the most natural thing that we can experience, but we put it in this box of this fear box, which is very unfortunate. So when women come in, they get their massage. I position them in the way that's comfortable, that's not on their belly. We talk about it and, give them the pressure that they need as a person and avoid points that may, trigger early labor. But, we just nurture and soothe them, and they love it. It's their time to be able to relax, because, women are participating in various roles. So even as you're in this state where you're producing a child, you're growing another human being. Right. You're still having to be potentially a wife or a mom to other children that you have. You're still having to work your job, or a business. So you're still amongst all the beautiful stuff that's happening just in your being, in your body. Yeah. You have all of these external factors, and the moment to be able to sit in and actually have someone nurture you while you're nurturing someone else is, I haven't experienced it, so I can only imagine from their end that it's magical and beautiful. But
wow, that is awesome. That is really cool. In addition, are there any other services that you provide that, potential clients could look forward to or look into research?
Right now, it's kind of low key. I'm keeping it simple with massage because of the pandemic. We're starting to implement yoni steaming, and my mom is actually coming on to do that, to offer that service.
You said yoni steaming?
Yes.
Break that down a little bit for us out there. It sounds like something that's going to transform the mental space in a great way, but the steaming, tell us a little about it.
So yoni steaming, also known as vaginal steaming, is the practice of sitting over a pot of steaming herbs to help to cleanse your reproductive system. And it generally starts to help with any types of bacterial infections that you may have. It can help with fibroids, cysts, endometriosis, keeping your cycles regular. It's womb health. Okay. And also just centering. It's something that's been done for centuries by Indigenous women, and we're incorporating that now in the West.
I like it. Totally like it, because a lot of the services are not so much outside of the box, but there are services that are educating people like myself that did not know what that was prior to you telling me. But that's the good thing about these interviews, because sometimes people, they see advertisements or they might see information, but I like to just dig a little bit deeper for somebody that might be curious and saying to themselves, how could something like this benefit me? And now I have a little bit more of awareness as well in terms of how physical touch can lead to the emotional strengthening and the mental strengthening during this period of time. And
just to let you know, and I should have said this before, steaming actually isn't just for women. Men can steam too. It's called the peri steam, and it helps with your prostate.
All right. So for my brothers out there, we all know that the checking of the prostate is a very serious situation as we get up in age. So that's something that I will inquire a little bit more about, because that's something that I'm looking to get my prostate checked within the next couple of years. I'm not playing around. Health, especially in our community, is so important and so unregarded. And I don't know if it's a lack of access to information. I don't know if it's trepidation due to the African-American experience dealing with doctors in the past. I know for myself, I was very frank with my doctor and even my dentist in explaining some of my fear of just things that trauma that sometimes passed down. being a Black man and knowing how we were treated medically in the past here in America. And that even leads to a lot of trepidation for what is happening now in terms of vaccines and things of that nature. But yeah, I know it's definitely a real thing. And I'm still working through that fear, you know, of going to a doctor and accepting whatever it is that they're telling me in terms of this is how to better your health. These are the things you need to do in terms of exercise, and just realizing that, you know, all medical people are not against me. There's not like a grand conspiracy to hurt people of color. But that is a real fear.
It is. And I commend you for moving through it, because a lot of people don't. They just sit in the fear, and you know, it's fight or flight, right?
Yeah.
You know, and you're fighting.
Yeah.
So that's an amazing thing. There is the fear component that's added in. There is the fact of just habits. Like if you weren't taught these things, it's just, you know, you do what you know. Absolutely. And even though we hear these things and we hear what we should be doing, and if our peers aren't doing it, it's weird. It's weird how that really works. We're really pat people. Yeah. You know, we go with what the masses are doing when it comes to mental health and all of that. So I love the fact that the conversations are coming up. We're doing a whole lot better as a community, but we have a little ways to go, but it's opening up, and having the conversation helps tremendously, and making it something that's normal that happens at the kitchen table, or, you know, when you're playing cards or doing whatever it is that you do with your friends and your family. And these conversations come up, in the idea of, you know, self-care. And just understanding your body. Like, we spend time understanding everything else. We go to school to learn everything else. But the one thing that we walk around with every single day, we know the least about.
It's so true. And that's us.
From top to the bottom.
Yeah. And keeping ourselves healthy and making sure that we're managing all those three components: mental, emotional, and our physical health. How can people support you as an entrepreneur during this time?
Share. Follow me on my platform. I'm not totally active on there. I drop some gems here and there, kind of give you a peek into the space, but I spend more time in the background building relationships and, you know, making sure that I'm centered enough so that I can give the proper energy to my clients. But I'm on social platforms. You can book a session. This particular year, I decided that I wanted to go back to my original thought of Nenriki being a little bit bigger than what we do within these walls. Okay. And every month we're going to pick a nonprofit organization to offer proceeds to. So whenever you come in and you book and you spend your coins here, which is your energy, you know, I believe that money is energy. Whenever you spend your energy with me, I'm going to give a little bit of that to an organization that is doing amazing work in our communities.
Oh, that is awesome. And that just goes back to, you know, other community service efforts that you have contributed to in the past, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Nenriki Therapy used to do a Soul Saturday where they used to highlight and showcase the efforts of entrepreneurs all across New Jersey. And I was honored to be able to host one of those events. And I know, you know, looking past this pandemic, you know, hopefully that is something that, you know, you will bring back to the forefront. But that's what I love about your organization, that, you know, you're not just a business that is just for profit. Like, you're actually investing within the people in the community and giving them a safe space to come, let their hair down, and really enjoy themselves. And it really is a family, you know, centered environment. So, man, that is a phenomenal piece.
And that's why it's the home of healing.
That's right. The home of healing. So it's not just massage therapy. It's like, you know, having a place to go and let your hair down and be free. And wow, that is really, really cool. I'm so happy for all the work that you are doing in the community. And once again, thank you for all of your efforts. You know, the Convo podcast is presented to basically just put a spotlight on people that I admire and look up to, and people that inspire me. So all your efforts are definitely noticed, and whatever I could do to help to support the community of Nenriki Therapy, I definitely want to do so. With that being said, is there any last words that you would like to leave our viewers?
Thank you for listening. Thank you for having me. Take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves and the people around you.
Yeah.
You know, don't lean into fear.
Mm.
That's all I really have right now.
All right. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And appointments are booked in advance, pre-booked in advance, preferred,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yep. You can go to nenrikitherapy.com. That's NENRIKI therapy.com. Online booking is available, so you don't have to wait to call me or wait to hear from me. Just conveniently go on and book your session. And follow me at Nenriki Therapy on Instagram or Facebook, and Facebook. Instagram is a little bit more lit than Facebook, though.
All right.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit more. All right. Absolutely. Once again, this is the Convo Live with your host, D.Bail. Special guest, Faith E. Smash, owner, lead therapist at Nenriki Therapy. Thank you so much for your time today. And yeah, follow us once again on social media at grustlemedia.com and of course at D.Bail. D.Bail. Thank you for your time, everybody.